I'm just going to turn it over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Robbie, and thank you to everybody in Illinois that made this happen. Super excited to kind of be on this this tour talking about cryptocurrency. I like to introduce myself. I say, I'm a prevention specialist by trade. I worked a little bit in treatment and substance use treatment here in Ohio. I'm in Columbus, Ohio right now at the Prevention Action Alliance. We are the statewide provider for prevention services. We do a lot of work with the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services. In my role as the community prevention manager, I also work on all of our problem gambling initiatives, which means I get to work with the Ohio Lottery Commission and the Ohio Casino Control Commission to work on our Before You Bet and Change the Game campaigns. And that is a shameless plug for our campaigns. I've worked in prevention for years. I worked in treatment for a little while. Inside of prevention, there's problem gambling prevention. And then inside of that, there are people that are just nerdy enough to also be able to speak on cryptocurrency. And I think that's kind of how I accidentally fell into this role. That said, I'm curious, and since we've got a small group, I'm going to throw it to the chat box. Let me know how you fit in. Do you work in treatment? Do you work in prevention? How do you fit in to the field? Just throw it in the chat. Treatment, counselor, treatment. All right, I see one. I see one prevention. All right, so looks like treatment is the majority. I won't hold that against you guys. So in years of working in prevention, especially school-based prevention, I always enjoyed staying up on current trends. I don't need to know everything about everything, but I shouldn't have a shocked look on my face. When I hear one of my sixth graders or middle schoolers say, "Hey, have you heard about this?" And the same extent too when I was working in treatment. I worked in patient substance use treatment for a couple of years in Dayton, Ohio. And the same thing, doing someone's assessment, as hard as it may be, and those of you that do assessments might be able to relate, it's hard not to be shocked sometimes, but again, just trying to stay 1 foot ahead. So that's why I like doing these, because cryptocurrency is something that's new. It's something that we've probably all heard of. We've probably all heard of NFTs at this point, which we'll talk about today as well. But we're not exactly sure, a lot of people aren't exactly sure what it is, and especially for us in the gambling services world, how it connects with what we're doing. So that's what I hope to talk about today. So again, just kind of the basics of cryptocurrency. We'll be able to talk about cryptocurrency and how those transactions compare to, going to, here in Ohio, we have Kroger, Meijer, grocery store, Giant Eagle, how those transactions compare, when I go buy groceries and I swipe my Visa debit card, how that compares to buying something with cryptocurrency, what that looks like, or a crypto transaction. And then we'll also talk about NFTs, non-fungible tokens. So I would invite you, again, small group, don't hesitate to interrupt in the chat box. That's my preference. If you have questions, throw them out there, and we'll kind of talk about things as we go. So since we're talking about technology and internet things, I like to use a little internet slang. So you'll see Eli5, which is if you're on Reddit or Twitter, you'll ask people, or you'll see people asking to explain it like I'm 5. So that's what I try to do with cryptocurrency. So cryptocurrency, it's a form of payment that can be exchanged online for goods and services. That's probably how we would describe any currency, crypto or other. So many companies have issued their own currencies, often called tokens, which we'll talk about when we get to NFTs. But think of Chuck E. Cheese. You go into Chuck E. Cheese and you take $1 and you exchange that for 4 tokens. Now they're physical. They're not electronic or cryptocurrency. The difference is, and this is really where we start to see that divide. I'm going to trade my $1 for 4 tokens to Chuck E. Cheese. I'm going to go to bed all night long. Those 4 tokens are still going to be worth $1. I'm going to wake up the next day. Those 4 tokens are going to be worth $1. I'm 37 now. When I was a kid, I'd go to Chuck E. Cheese and it was 4 tokens for $1. That's a pretty current rate. Now I know they do deals where if you buy a birthday package or whatever, you might get a different exchange, but pretty historically, the Chuck E. Cheese tokens are valued at a quarter. If I take $1 and I buy Bitcoin with that $1, I'm going to probably, before I even log off of PayPal or Robinhood or whatever platform I've used to buy my Bitcoin, I'm probably going to have a different valuation for that $1 than I did when I started. Almost immediately, it'll go up or down. When I go to bed, that $1 could turn into $1,000, or it could turn into 1,000th of 1 cent. It is fluctuating constantly. And we'll talk about that a little bit when we talk about how this ties into problem gambling. So you're trading your dollar, your US dollar, your currency for a token. In the case of cryptocurrency, or specifically Bitcoin, when I use, Bitcoin is kind of the most popular cryptocurrency. So we'll talk specifically about that one a lot, but there are, as we'll see, a lot more out there. So when I take my US dollar and I convert that to a cryptocurrency, it almost instantly is more or less than that $1 that I spent on it. So cryptocurrency all started kind of out of a desire to have what is called decentralized banking. So with traditional banking, if I make a purchase, that information goes to one computer. It doesn't matter if I buy something at Walmart, doesn't matter if I buy something at Costco, doesn't matter if I buy something online at Etsy or wherever it may be. At some point, all of that information, I bank with USAA. At some point, all of that information is going to hit the same server or the same system of computers somewhere at USAA, at my bank. They'll all initiate a different place, but they all end up at the same place at my bank. We can see it can be slow. It's a single point of failure. If my bank goes down, I can't buy anything anywhere. If the network at my bank goes down, or the server at my bank goes down, I can't buy anything from Walmart. I can't buy anything from Target. It may not be a bad thing. I don't need to buy anything at Target. But anywhere that I go to shop or use my debit card, if that one point is down, I'm out of luck. The idea behind decentralized bank, and you see in the graphic here, it's referred to as a peer-to-peer network. I'm going to date myself, and I'm going to say I remember Napster. And if you remember file sharing systems like Napster or LimeWire, you would download a song or a file, and it would pull from multiple users. It wasn't just downloading like from iTunes. It wasn't just downloading from one computer. It might download the first 5 seconds of a song from one person, the middle 30 seconds of a song from another, the last 10 seconds from another. It was pulling in from multiple resources. So if your connection to one of those computers got severed, you were fine. You could pull, that section of the song or the file from another user. Might be a little slower, but your transaction went through. You were still able to download that entire file. So that's kind of the idea behind decentralized banking, is that if we operate a peer-to-peer network or set up a peer-to-peer network to process these transactions. So if if one computer that processes Visa transactions goes down, I can still make Visa transactions. I can still withdraw cash from the ATM. I can still deposit cash at the ATM. It's a kind of a fail-safe. So that's kind of the idea behind decentralized banking. That is what started kind of the push to have cryptocurrency, because we're going to talk about blockchain, which is something we've probably all heard about. So instead of having that data processed for our cryptocurrency transactions, instead of having that processed just at one computer, because there is no Bitcoin headquarters, it's reliant upon everyone that uses Bitcoin or everyone that wants to be part of this peer-to-peer network to help process these transactions. So again, this breaks it down just a little bit farther. You know, if I'm at Target, you know, I'll pay with a credit card. The merchant or the corporation will process the transaction. It goes to my bank, my credit card company, you know, sends me a bill, and then I pay the bill and it goes back to my bank. It's a chain of corporations and banks and corporations. So what started as a decentralized kind of a, you know, a fail-safe, so if some part of that transaction chain goes down, we can still process those transactions. The desire to disrupt this system of corporations and banks and corporations and banks, the desire to take the power away from them, kind of grew. And that is what has really driven, at least over the last few years, a lot of the desire to grow cryptocurrencies, is that, hey, you know what, JP Morgan Chase, they're not the only ones that should be allowed to process financial transactions. Bank of America, Chase Bank, you know, whoever your Citibank, whoever it is, they shouldn't be the ones with all the power. So to disrupt that system, or the desire to disrupt that system, is kind of what's pushed this along. Because we can see when we used a decentralized transaction process, you can see that I'll buy something with Bitcoin. The transaction goes out to that peer-to-peer network. A block is created, or part of that blockchain is created through that peer-to-peer network. The file that's created in that blockchain, or the information that's created as part of that blockchain transaction, gets added to the larger data file. And it's all done just peer-to-peer, no corporations, no banks. Everything is, we've taken that power away from Citibank, JP Morgan, whoever it is. So let's talk about blockchain. So it's pretty simple. Now we could probably do a whole multiple hour presentation on blockchain. Blockchain is the type of technology, or it refers to the technology that's used to process these transactions. So think of it this way. Because there is no central bank being used, or no central server being used, all of the information, you know, if I have $50 and I spend 20, I'm left with $30. Well, in this blockchain, we need to know that, hey, he had 50, he spent 20, and now he has 30. Okay, it's a whole history of a group or groups, large groups of transactions. So every time enough data is processed and enough transactions are done, it basically just adds a new big file or a new big link on this chain. And all of those other links contain the older transactions that we have to see, because I can't just show up and say, hey, I've got $30. You want to know, hey, yeah, all right, he had 50, he spent 20, he's right, he does have $30. We want to be able to prove that. So when I go to make a transaction, they know, hey, yes, he does have $30. So it can be a lot more complicated. Blockchain is something that I think we'll start to see in healthcare. It's because we look at that decentralized process. And right now, you know, I'll tell you, I'm in Columbus, Ohio. Our big healthcare provider, or big network here in Central Ohio, is called Ohio Health. Ohio Health knows everything about me. So if someone hacked into their server or were able to access their data, they would know everything about me, because all of that information is stored in one place. But on a peer-to-peer network and using blockchain, they might be able to get into one computer or one chain in this link, or one link in this chain rather, and they might get a little information about me, but they don't have it all. So they would have to access multiple files to get all of the information about it. So it does make it a little safer as far as data and privacy and things like that go. So blockchain in and of itself is not exclusively tied to cryptocurrency. Right now, that's probably 95% of the type of transaction that it's being used for. But blockchain, I think, has a lot of relevant use as technology grows. And I can't tell you how many times we see on the news lately that, hey, data was stolen from this company and this company, and that's because all of our data with that company is stored in one place. So I think that the use of this will grow. So let's talk about, briefly, just talk about what we call coin mining. And this is something that is tied to Bitcoin. And maybe you've already seen on the news things about like the impact of Bitcoin or cryptocurrency on the environment, how it uses a substantial amount of electricity, and has kind of a real negative impact. So coin mining, we talked about that peer-to-peer network, and we talked about that blockchain. The way it used to work is that when a transaction was completed, it would be put out to that peer-to-peer network. And that peer-to-peer network years ago could have been just me and my home computer, could have been any of you and your home computer, all kind of on an even keel. And that transaction would go out, and the first person to complete it as a reward for processing that transaction, because when we use a Visa card or MasterCard, there's usually a fee to the vendor, maybe 1%, 2%. Someone has to pay Visa to process that transaction. But with blockchain, or I'm sorry, with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, because there is no centralized bank. They want to incentivize people participating in the peer-to-peer network. So as a reward, they would say, hey, you were the first. We had 100 computers trying to solve this transaction or complete this transaction. You were the fastest. So as a reward for you, we're going to give you some Bitcoin. You can see that it used to be in 2009, as a reward, they would hand out 50 Bitcoins. And every 4 years, the number of Bitcoins they give out as a reward for solving those transaction cuts in half, because there is a finite amount of Bitcoin. So only 21 million Bitcoins will ever be in existence. So to slow down, and that's how they get released. So to slow that down, they cut that number in half every 4 years. So years ago, Bitcoin was kind of worthless. So when you got 50 Bitcoin, it didn't really do anything for you. It was cool, it was a novelty. Not a lot of places accepting Bitcoin as currency in 2009. Well, here we are in 2021, and Bitcoin is, tens of thousands of dollars for one Bitcoin. People want that reward. People want to complete the transaction and get that Bitcoin. So, whereas it could have been in the past, me or you or any of our home computers solving these transactions and a big part of that peer-to-peer network, now people really want that Bitcoin. So they're building what they call Bitcoin farms, where they will have 1,000 or 2,000 or 5,000 CPUs processing these transactions, trying to be the fastest one to solve the transaction and get that piece of reward, that piece of Bitcoin as a reward. There is right now, kind of the largest Bitcoin farm, I think, has 10,000 processors. Their electric bill every month is about $1 million, but in Bitcoin, they bring in about $10 million a month. So it's worth it for them. The problem is that they have a lot of competition. There are Bitcoin farms popping up all over the world that are trying to outpace each other, to be the person or the group of people that complete these transactions and they get the Bitcoin as a reward. but the reward only goes to the first person to complete the transaction. So you might have, 10,000 computers here, 5,000 here, 5,000 there, all over the world competing for the same piece of the pie, but only one gets it. But that doesn't mean that the electricity, that the power, that the natural resources spent on building and powering all of these supercomputing systems, that's already wasted. It doesn't matter, if you don't get the Bitcoin or not. All of those resources have been consumed. So when we hear about Bitcoin, and I think we'll continue to hear about it a little bit more in the news and how it relates to going green and climate change and those types of things, Bitcoin can be detrimental. And they're working to address that. If you follow along, Elon Musk has talked about it. So it's something that is definitely a con in the category for Bitcoins. So I've got some information here, and this is every time I do this presentation, I update the slide usually the morning of the presentation, and by the time I do the presentation, it's different. So I'm actually going to switch over, and bear with me as I close out our slide deck here, and I'm going to pull up my web browser.
Hey, James.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I hate to break in here.
Yeah.
Remember what I said about the poll questions? I've created a couple as you've talked, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah. And they're very simple, but I might wait 5 minutes or so before I launch. Can I just, is that okay? If
whatever we
okay.
need to do to make sure CEs are
okay.
on the up and up, I'm good.
Thank you. And that was my fault. And sorry, guys, we do have some poll questions. In fact, why don't I just, while you're doing this, why don't I launch this first one here?
Perfect.
Okay. And this one's real simple because James just went over this, guys. Okay. The reward for mining is cut in half every 4 years. Is this true? Mark A, if it's true, B, if it's false. The reward for mining is cut in half every 4 years. Mark A, if it's true, B, if it's false. Everybody's answering right away. Good job. Look at you guys go. All right, very good. And the answer is true, as James just described. So thanks for letting me do that, James, and I'll break in here in a few minutes on the next one.
Yeah, not a problem.
All right.
So let's take a look at some live stats about different cryptocurrencies. Because I will reference Bitcoin a lot. We're about to see it's definitely the most popular. But this is, I think, a great site for anyone that's interested in learning more. It's called coinmarketcap.com. Let me refresh. So this tells us a lot. If you want to learn more about any specific cryptocurrency that a client might reference, or just more for your own educational purposes, check it out. We can see up at the top here, it tells us right now there are 12,678 different forms of cryptocurrency. Each one having its own rules and regulations and value. So basically 12,678 different currencies currently exist. The market cap, and this is what I always find interesting, the market cap means the total value of all cryptocurrencies right now in the world is $2.3 trillion. And my brain, every time I look at this, I have to count spaces because I don't normally talk about things in the trillions. For the other prevention specialists in the room, you'll appreciate we don't usually see a lot of commas as we're talking about money. So $2.3 trillion is the total value of all cryptocurrencies right now. That is about equal to the amount of currency in the United States. I think the average for the US is about 2.2 trillion. So now keep in mind, this is a global figure, but if we cashed out if everyone said, hey, I want to get out of crypto and I want US dollars, we would not have enough US dollars in our economy to support that. So I think that's a great, it's a great example of the scale of crypto. Pardon me. You can see the 24-hour volume. So this means the amount of value traded in the last 24 hours, bought, sold, you traded through transactions, whatever it may be, over the last 24 hours, $106 billion has been bought, sold, traded. However, again, that's a lot. This is a new category that they added, which I used to have to do the math and put it on my PowerPoint, the dominance. So of all of this, you know, the $2.3 trillion, the $106 billion traded over the last 24 hours, 46.2% is Bitcoin. So again, you know, all Bitcoin is crypto, but not all crypto is Bitcoin. 46.2% of it is, but not all of it. And coming in second place with 17.8%, and that gap there should tell you a little bit about the dominance Bitcoin has. So coming in second place, 17.8%, is a type of cryptocurrency called Ethereum. And they're also the cryptocurrency behind the NFTs, the non-fungible tokens. So we can scroll down and we can look at these currencies. You can see in first place, or the most dominant, the biggest part of the market is Bitcoin. Right now, one Bitcoin is worth $56,949. So just about $57,000 for one Bitcoin. So when we talk about the mining of Bitcoin and that people really want those, you know, it is only a fractional piece. But when one equals $57,000, you know, even a quarter of a Bitcoin is worth trying to get. We can see the market cap here just for Bitcoin is a little over $1 trillion. We can see the 24-hour volume, $40 billion. And because we know that Bitcoin has a finite supply, again, there are only, or after they've all been mined, there will only be 21 million Bitcoin in circulation. We can see that right now, 18,842,743 are out there. And that's kind of interesting because as we look down in that same column, we can see Ethereum. There is no limit to the number of, one Ethereum is what they call an ether. There is no limit to the number of ether that can be out there. We can keep going down. We see Cardano is usually, we'll see in the top 5 or top 10. And if we kind of hover over the little information symbol there, it will tell us what we want to know. So it tells us how many are out there right now and what the max supply will be. So I think this website is pretty useful if you have a client that you're working with that mentions something specifically, because what we see here is the top 4 most popular. We see Bitcoin right now is valued at just about $57,000. It just went up a little bit. We see Ethereum is for one is worth $3,500. We see number 3, kind of a spinoff of Bitcoin, is Binance Coin, $458, and Cardano is $2. So there's something for every budget. You know, so just because your client may not have $57,000 to go out and buy one Bitcoin, they probably got $2. So there's something for everybody. But of course, it's possible to buy fractional Bitcoin. So you don't have to have $57,000 to enter the market. And as we're going to transition into talking about how you can get Bitcoin or any crypto, I will actually, while we've got the web browser open, I'm going to switch over to PayPal here, and I'm going to show you how easy it is. Normal PayPal account, didn't have to do anything different. You know, send money, request money, crypto. So I can go right in there, and I'm going to buy, you know what? I normally, for this demonstration, I buy a Bitcoin. I'm going to buy Ethereum. So I'm going to hit buy, and I'm going to type in how much money I want to buy. I'm going to buy $1 worth of Ethereum. Hit next. It's going to come right out of my debit card. Hit next. There is a fee, a transaction fee. That is what's in it for PayPal. PayPal is not being altruistic and doing this for free because I'm a good customer and I want to buy crypto. There's a transaction fee. So I hit buy. And every time I do this in a presentation, even though I know I have $1.50 in the bank, I'm always so afraid in front of a room full of people, there will be some sort of hold on my debit card and it will come back declined. But you can see the purchase went through, and I can come back now here to crypto. And as I said when I started, almost immediately after you buy crypto, it's either worth more or less than you spent. We can see here that my $1 has immediately turned into 99 cents. But it's that simple. PayPal is the most, kind of mundane of apps. We hear a lot about Robinhood. We hear a lot about, the Webull, all the other apps, all the other markets where you can buy crypto. PayPal does it. Venmo, I don't think Venmo does it yet, but they're working on it. Venmo is owned by PayPal. The Cash App is another kind of money transfer app. You can do it. I think they were one of the first. But if, I'll tell you, here in our office, we take turns. Somebody will buy lunch. Somebody will be the person responsible for gathering the lunch order, and everybody sends them their order. And then, we'll Venmo or we'll Cash App. Yesterday was my day to buy lunch. Everybody sent me Cash App, sent me money in a Cash App. I can go in and say, hey, send this right to my bank account, or I'm going to use this and I'm going to buy some crypto. It's not hard. For people that might not be as familiar, and bear with me as I transition back over here to our slide deck. People might not be as familiar with crypto, or there, might be some air of tech savviness about crypto. You don't have to it doesn't take an expert. It's something that kids can buy. It's something that people may be trying to conceal spending on gambling can buy. You don't have to have a separate bank account. If I am someone, if my wife knows that I have a problem gambling, and she, trusts me enough to have a debit card, but monitors my expenses, hey, I can take $20, or I can say, look, hey, I spent $40. It was my day to buy lunch at the office. I spent $40 on DoorDash. She's never going to know that everybody sent me money on Venmo and then I just cashed that out into crypto. So it is something that's not hard to buy, but it is something that's pretty easy to conceal. And as we talk about, some of the warning signs for problem gambling, we know that hiding losses and concealing our gambling is a warning sign. So let's briefly, we'll just look at some of the most popular. Some of these, I think most of these we saw as we looked at CoinMarketCap. What you see is that every one of them is branded. You don't really see with the US dollar or any other currency, you don't see a marketing campaign. You do with crypto though. You see celebrities pushing it. You see Mark Cuban, Elon Musk, they have all backed various types of crypto. They have a large social media presence. So they'll mention one, they'll tweet a logo or graphic or a meme, and then immediately you'll see that price increase. Since the beginning of the stock market, there have been pump and dump schemes. I will go buy a bunch of penny stocks. I'm going to hype them up to my friends, my investment club, whatever it may be. The 21st century version is hyping them up to your Twitter followers. They go out and buy, the price goes up, I sell. This sure looks a lot like that sometimes. So let's talk about where do you get cryptocurrency? We see here in the top, we have cryptocurrency ATMs. You can withdraw cash. You can see right there, it'll read the QR code on your phone, so you don't have to have a card or something in your wallet that someone might find. Right on your phone, it'll display a QR code. You walk to the machine, you display your QR code, you put money in, you withdraw money. Almost untraceable. PayPal, pretty easy. Square, they're the ones that run the Cash App. But if you've ever gone to like a small mom and pop store and they have for the cash register, they have the iPad they spin around so you can leave a tip and put your signature. That's usually a Square terminal. It's up to the vendor. If I'm a business owner and I'm using Square to process my transactions, it's up to me if I want to accept crypto. But through Square, if that's who I want to go with to process my transactions, I can accept crypto. This one I think is a little funny, keeping in mind that Bitcoin was really driven to disrupt that banking market, and we want to decentralize, all the transactions and take the power away from the big banks. You can go into Walmart or Target and now buy basically a gift card for Bitcoin. So to get into the disrupting of banking, you're going to start by making a transaction at Target or Walmart or wherever you buy the card. So a little counter brand there, if you will. This one I think is interesting, gift cards. There are websites, there are actually plenty of these websites that exist, where you can take a used or a partial gift card and trade it in either for cash or for crypto. The years I spent working as a school-based prevention specialist have kind of trained my brain to think like, a 13-year-old. Because immediately I think, hey, you know what? Grandma and grandpa give me a gift card for Old Navy for Christmas or my birthday, whatever it is. I'm going to go buy, go buy a pair of jeans. Mom and dad see, hey, I'm wearing the new jeans. They think the gift card is gone. I've got $10 left on there. I'm going to get online. I'm going to trade that $10 balance on my gift card for maybe $7 or $8 in cash or crypto. Again, of course, there's a fee. That's what's in it for the company. But fractional gift cards, there's a huge market. And again, if my parents think the money is spent, or I'm trying to hide or cover up some financial activity from a parent or a loved one who may be aware of my problem gambling, it's pretty easy to conceal. And of course, gambling. We are probably not shocked to see that one on here. And we'll look at some of the sites where you can gamble. We'll see some names that might be new, but in a room full of people that work in the problem gambling field, we'll probably see some websites that you're not surprised to see. Robbie, I saw you unmute yourself. You want to chime in with a...
Yeah, I wanted to do another one, and then we'll just have one more to do. Thanks, James, for allowing me to do this. So let me do a quick, another poll, a softball. I don't know what's wrong with my thing here, my video. Okay, so according to what James showed us earlier, Bitcoin, and what he's probably said 100 times, I think now, so you guys will know this is the most popular form of cryptocurrency. Remember what he pulled up. According to what James showed earlier, Bitcoin is the most popular form of cryptocurrency. Mark A if it's true, B if it's false. I think the gift card thing is fascinating. I don't know if I've really even looked close enough, James, like in Walmart or wherever, to see these gift cards. I mean, are they out there now? I mean, again, this is coming from a guy who doesn't still, who's learning about this?
Yeah, so they are out there. Those have, it's honestly, it's gotten so easy to get crypto now through PayPal or other means that I think the gift cards are kind of a waning entry point into the market. It's honestly easier elsewhere.
I got you.
I have a picture and I've been meaning to incorporate it into this. I was at home the other day. I was in my kitchen and I had the TV on, just watching the evening news, doing some dishes. And I was like, wait a minute, what did they say? And I had to go rewind the TV. It was a commercial for an HVAC company here in Ohio, here in Central Ohio. And they said, hey, we now accept Bitcoin. So if you're, we're going into winter, it doesn't feel like it yet here in Central Ohio, but we're going into winter. If your heater, you need to get it fixed up or get, a recharge on your AC, we take Bitcoin. And I just thought, well, do you pay based on what the value of Bitcoin when you make your appointment? If Bitcoin is down $15,000, do I call and say, quick, get out here, so I'm paying less? Or, if it shoots up to $60,000, are you still charging me the same amount of Bitcoin? It just, it's interesting.
Yeah. And I know you're going to talk about what else you can buy with Bitcoin, and I'm going to leave it to you.
Yeah.
It's guys, it's fascinating. So I'll get out of your way here.
So we talk about, and I'm going to, I'll hit briefly on this because in some, I do another presentation where I talk about this and some of the retail investing things like Wall Street bets. Cryptocurrency is being used to day trade a little bit. People are usually in it for a longer haul. The day traders, the idea of day trading is that at the end of the day, you own nothing, you own no stocks. Cryptocurrency is pretty easy to transition to. Especially for people that want to continue to watch the market, to experience those ups and downs. Having worked in substance use treatment, we know that it's all about the next high or the next reward being a little better, being a little bigger, something to keep it going. If I win $100 or if I'm up $1,000, it's not the same. I can be up $1,000 only so many times, and then what's the point? It's only $1,000. So you want to increase that. If I am day trading, I'm trading in a market that's open Monday through Friday, closed on holidays, closed on the weekends, 9 to 5, and that's it. I can't buy or sell after that. Or if I do, they won't go through until the market's open again. The crypto markets never close. They are open 24/7, 365. Doesn't matter if it's Monday morning. Doesn't matter if it's 3 a.m. on Christmas Eve. Doesn't matter if it's midnight on New Year's. The crypto market is open always. It is a global market. So as we look at people that have a history of day trading and disordered gambling through buying, selling, trading stocks, this is kind of that next logical step. Because it's usually on the same platform, especially we see like Robinhood and all the retail investing apps. Hey, you can buy, if you want to trade in crypto, you don't have to stop buying stocks. You can do it in conjunction with. Again, low barrier to entry. We saw it was $1, which actually I talked about my card getting declined. I just got the notification of suspicious activity from my bank. So, it's that next step. If I, 5 o'clock rolls around and I know I can't buy anything now, until the market opens the next day, maybe I'll buy a little crypto. We saw how quickly it changes. So that kind of emotional roller coaster that is watching the market is now open 24/7, 365. Dogecoin, we'll talk about briefly. I know we don't have a lot of time left. Dogecoin is something that you've probably heard about over the last year or so. It was started as a literal joke. Two programmers got together, one from IBM, one from Adobe, and they were kind of parodying the ridiculousness of Bitcoin. And they said, hey, we're going to launch our own cryptocurrency, which anybody can do. and they launched Dogecoin based on the meme of a dog, which we see up here in the top right-hand corner. If you've seen that, that is kind of the mascot for Dogecoin. It was selling for hundredths, if not thousands of 1 cent. You could take $100 and you could buy tens of thousands of Dogecoin. It jumped up once it was kind of harangued by Elon Musk and Mark Cuban, or co-opted rather by those two gentlemen. It jumped up to about 43 cents, which doesn't sound like a lot, but if you bought it at at 1/100th of a cent, it adds up quick. So if you've got 10,000 of them, 100,000 of them, whatever it may be, at 43 cents, that starts to add up. And there were people who instantly were millionaires because of Dogecoin. FOMO trading is a thing, fear of missing out. Pardon me. Everyone wants to go back to the 1980s and buy Microsoft stock. Everyone wants to buy Amazon stock, in the early 2000s. Everyone wants to be, we hear of all these things. Bitcoin. There are people that, had dozens of Bitcoins, sold them as it, propelled forward. But there are people that became millionaires from investing just a few dollars in Bitcoin, in Dogecoin, whatever it may be. And people are constantly trying to recreate this now. There is that fear of missing out. So that when you hear of, hey, this new crypto just started, and right now you can buy, for $100, you can buy 10,000 of this new cryptocurrency, and it's going to go up to $1. Sure, I'm in. We talked about that, something for every budget. Hey, if I invest $10 and I get 100% return, now I have $20. Yeah, $20 is great. I'm a prevention specialist. $20 is great. But if you say, hey, invest $10, it's going to be worth $10,000. That's a lot more enticing. So it's definitely that fear of missing out, of not wanting to be on the next Microsoft or IBM train. It's driving people into buying crypto that would not normally be drawn to the stock market or other forms of investing or gambling. So let's talk about where you can spend cryptocurrency. Over on the left, we're going to see some places that are probably surprises. Over on the right, if you work in the gambling services world, Big Fish Games is probably not a new name to you. They're a huge social casino company. If you have not seen the PBS piece about Big Fish Games, I would encourage you to go watch that. It's about 10 minutes. So AMC Theaters, AT&T, Dish Network, Burger King piloted it for a while. We see BMW, Lamborghini. What I think is interesting, because we talked about cryptocurrency and there is this air of technicality of, you invest in the stock market. That's a very fancy thing. You invest in crypto. That's confusing. You have to, be financially savvy and tech savvy to buy crypto, which we know is not true. I always say you're never going to hear of anyone that bought a Chevy Cruze with Bitcoin, because it is the air of appearance. I don't know how many Lamborghinis have actually been sold using Bitcoin. I did try to look that up. That figure is not publicly available. But it lends itself to this certain appeal. Hey, I can put $10 in Bitcoin and maybe be a millionaire. And you can buy a Lamborghini with Bitcoin. Yeah, I want it. I want to be a part of that. Casinos, of course.
Hey, James?
Yes.
I'm sorry, quick question.
Yeah.
Kind of a fun question for me. I can pay my Dish Network bill with Bitcoin?
That is a possibility. I'll tell you.
Fascinating.
So AT&T is right now making some acquisitions. They're spinning off. They own HBO. They're spinning that off, selling that to the Discovery Network. I don't know if that all of that has changed anything, but yes, at some point you could either buy new dish equipment or pay your bill with crypto.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
AMC Theaters has a plan to expand. In another presentation I give about retail investing, they're the king of everything we saw with GameStop a few months ago. We're seeing with AMC now. And whereas GameStop kind of said, hey, we don't know what's going on. We're just here. Please don't bankrupt our company with, all you're doing. AMC has leaned into it. Their CEO is on Twitter, connecting with everyone, trying to pump up the price of their own stock. He knows that those retail investors are the same ones that are buying crypto. So to appeal to them, he's saying, hey, we're going to start accepting Dogecoin. We're accepting Bitcoin. We're accepting Ethereum. He's trying to, he knows the audience for his stock, and he's leaning into it. So casinos, of course, more than happy to take your funds. I like I said, I do a lot of work with the Ohio Casino Control Commission. We have a great partner in them. Even with our properties, we have great partners at our properties that work in the RG departments and messaging. Because I know that in all of Ohio's 11 gambling properties, you're going to go in and you're going to get, notices about spend limits, time limits. You're going to see the statewide number, PG hotline number. You're going to see, the property specific or brand specific materials. You're going to see as much stuff as we can get in there. And we actually I do environmental scans on all 11 properties every 2 years. So we know it's out there. When you go to a decentralized casino, there is no minimum age warning. Nobody's going to come up and say, hey, you know what, you've been sitting here for 2 hours. You lost $10,000. Maybe you should get up and just take a walk. You're not going to see those things. So no consumer protections, and anonymity. That's the big thing. We know that concealing these types of transactions is a big piece, and it's so easy with crypto. So talking about gambling in that piece, I know that correlation is not causation, but we talked about ATMs, crypto ATMs. There's a great little gas station up here by me in Columbus that I can walk in. They have an ATM and they have a crypto ATM, so I can get, 20 on pump one, and hey, I'm going to throw this $5 in my crypto account. We know that looking at the locations of crypto ATMs in Vegas, one, there's plenty right outside the airport. We got 7 of them out there. And if you know anything about Vegas, you know that the Strip and the Old Strip, Fremont Street, have the most. So, if I am slowly building up a crypto wallet that I'm concealing from people, and I'm going to be able to go to Vegas, and I'm going to be able to withdraw everything from that account. And again, it's not going to show up on my debit card account or my credit card statement that someone else might have access to.
Interesting stuff. I'm sorry, James, can I get the last poll in here, guys, at the hour, and then we can go over a little bit if everybody can stay on. If you can't, we understand. Okay, last poll. Where can I get cryptocurrency according to what James showed earlier? At a crypto ATM, A, or B, at with PayPal, C, with Square, D, with gift cards, or E, or can you get them from all the above? Where can I get cryptocurrency? Oh, Oh, I guess I need to launch this. Thanks, guys. It's launched. Sorry. Where can I get cryptocurrency? A, crypto ATMs, B, PayPal, C, Square, D, gift cards, or E, all of these.
So I will just leave this up in the background. I looked before we started, looked at the locations of crypto ATMs across the state of Illinois.
Oh, very good.
I don't have a great, my geographical knowledge of Illinois is not great. So I'm not sure what these might correlate with, but you can see quite a few in Chicago. That's probably not a surprise for a city of that size. Peoria, Springfield, looks like east of St. Louis. It's going to be some large placement of crypto ATMs as well. So I'm not sure if those correlate with where your gambling properties might be, but I thought it would be interesting to share. So briefly, I do want to hit on NFTs, and I know we are at time, so I apologize for that. NFT is a non-fungible token, so it's basically a one-off. A US dollar is a fungible token. So non-fungible means that there's no equivalent. So if I have a US dollar and Robbie has a US dollar and there's nothing special about them, we can trade them and they're exactly the same. They're fungible. The value is the same. I think the best example is an airline seat. Robbie and I might have a ticket on the same plane, but I prefer a window seat. He prefers an aisle seat. There might be some sociopath that prefers the middle seat. I don't know who does, but I might like to be in the front of the plane. Robbie might like to be in the back of the plane. There are personal preferences that come into account that make things non-fungible. So that means they're one of a kind. The value is different to different people. They cannot be equally traded. So when we have a non-fungible token like the one we see on the screen here, that sold for $69.3 million, paid for using 42,000 Ether. I can explain the what and the why. I can explain the what and the how. I cannot explain the why. This is where we get into basically the taste of individuals for artistic preference. I'll tell you, I'm from Cincinnati. I have a beautiful picture of the Cincinnati skyline hanging in my living room. I've got some Cincinnati Reds art actually behind me, and then some in my dining room. So you guys probably have very little desire. I hope there are no Cubs fans in the room, but you guys probably have very little desire to have Cincinnati Reds artwork hanging up. So different value to different people. But it is so we see here the picture of the NFT that was sold for $69.3 million. It's not a physical thing. It is not a tangible thing. Think of it as owning the artistic rights. So I can Google the Mona Lisa. I can see a picture of the Mona Lisa. I can share a picture of the Mona Lisa on my Facebook page, on my social media, but I don't own the rights to the Mona Lisa. Same thing for people that own NFTs. You own the rights, you own the electronic rights, basically the copyright, but it's not stopping other people from looking at it, from Googling it, from downloading a copy, from putting a copy in the PowerPoint. And I will tell you that the person that bought this kind of waived their rights, so I'm not doing anything unethical by sharing this this picture here of what is copyrighted material. So again, we saw a lot of FOMO around this. Pizza Hut got in on the NFTs. They sold a picture of a digital piece of pizza for $8,000. Lindsay Lohan has been a driving force behind the NFT market. So again, celebrities are jumping on board. They're endorsing certain artists, certain platforms, and they're making money. So again, I can explain the what. I can't explain the why. I don't know. I've never had $70 million. If I did, I don't know that this would be what I spent it on. Almost assuredly not. But we can explain the technology. We can't explain artistic taste. We'll, I think, see a lot more about NFTs in the future. And there's the picture of the Pizza Hut NFT that sold for, again, a ridiculous amount of money. We will kind of skip through those, and that is going to wrap us up. I know we're over time a little bit, so I appreciate the couple of extra minutes that you gave me. I will stick around if anyone has any questions or wants to connect. Feel free to shoot me an email, throw something in the chat box. Hopefully you guys found this valuable as a kind of a first step into an emerging trend. Again, thanks to Robbie, and thanks to Illinois. Even though I made an anti-Cubs statement,
I was good. It's okay, James. I was going to say I can't protect you here, man. Well, you know what? When you talk about Sox, especially with what's just happened, and Cubs, I don't get in the middle of that at all. But anyways, I can understand you being a Cincinnati Reds fan. I grew up in the '70s, so Joe Morgan was one of my favorite second basemen of all time. I got the Cubs fans probably coming at me now. So, but anyways, thank you, James, and I apologize to you that I had to do those polls, kind of insert them, and it's okay, by us for you going over, because it's very interesting, and you positioned it well. This is a great first step, and I think I learned a little bit more even hearing this for the second time, and it's just going to be interesting how this moves, right? And how it rubs up against the gambling world. And I think just the element of risk, and when you were talking about FOMO, I think it all kind of integrates in. I know risk does, but with the symptoms of gambling disorder and problem gambling, and even maybe a little bit with gaming too. So I think it's all very relevant and great, new, interesting information.
Yeah, thank you. It's it's drawing the again, because that kind of that air of hey, you have to understand technical, difficult things, these complicated things to be a part of the crypto market, and people want to be a part of that. But also, people, I'm sure at some point everyone has thought, boy, if I could go back and buy, $100 worth of Microsoft stock in 1984, people, and the more we see it, the more frequently we see it with GameStop stock, even though most people probably don't understand exactly what happened, with Dogecoin, with Bitcoin. The general takeaway is that people are investing very little, people are risking or gambling very little, and becoming incredibly rich. And that, I think, is lowering the barrier to entry for a lot of people that would not normally join an investing club or buy penny stocks. But when you fancy it up and make it seem technical, I think you'll get a lot more buy-in.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see the way it moves, and thank you for giving us this foundation of knowledge, and I hope to work with you again, hopefully soon. And again, it's going to be interesting to see where this all goes with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So, okay, James, well, listen, have a great day. Everyone else, have a great day. Thank you for staying on a little bit longer, and we look forward to hearing you or seeing you on December 8th when Victor Ortiz presents on gambling effects in Latinx communities. Okay, everybody, have a great rest of your week. Thanks again, James.
Thank you.
All right, man. See you guys. All right, bye-bye.